Hope Channel, changing lives.
Good evening and welcome to another exciting episode of Real Talk here at the studios of Hope TV Ghana. My name is Evie. It's another beautiful Wednesday in the studios of Hope TV Ghana, and we come your way with Real Talk. You know, I always say that this show is one of the shows that allows you to just air your problems, your views, whatever it is that you're going through. We are in a world where everything is on social media, everything is trending, everything is put out there. And so it's difficult to know the right information from the wrong one. It's difficult to find the right information. Back then, you probably hear your mother or father or somebody that you're talking to face, having a conversation with you and telling you what is right, what is not right. But now everything is out there. And so you have to filter through all the information that is coming and then settle on the right one. Woe unto you if you come across information that has been packaged as good but it's evil, and you pick it as a form of using it to direct your life. That is just going to mess up your life. And so we are grateful that there's a platform like this in Hope TV Ghana that allows you, especially the young adults, to come out and talk about everything and anything that you're going through. And getting the right people to advise you, getting the right people to just have the conversation with you. And so we are live on Facebook and YouTube as well. So you can call a friend and you guys can stream and we can all have a holistic conversation together. We always say that feel free to share your problems with us. You can send it to us via our WhatsApp number, our email address. You can send it to us on Facebook, direct message, Hope TV Ghana, and we will receive them. Do not worry about typing it out or drafting it well. We have writers in the house who will help you with that. And as they say, a problem shared is half solved. You know, in these parts of our country, in these parts of our world, so the African country, probably some parts of the Caribbean, all those other parts, and even some parts of the Western country, probably not as rampant, voodooism, juju, rituals, you know, cults, all these things which are classified as a religious cult practice are very common. And somebody will say, in the 21st century, do you believe that? Do people believe this? Do people think it's real? Does it even matter? Is it something you should be worried about? And we have a story on the table today around these things. So rituals, voodooism, juju, you know, witchcraft, everything. And this young man has sent his story hoping for a solution. Whether you agree that rituals, voodooism, or cultic practices exist or not, you can feel free and leave it under our comment section, and I'll make sure I read your comments as we go on with the conversation. But this is something that a young man is facing, and he sent his story to us for us to have the right conversation. And we have found you the right people to have the right conversation, as we always do in the studios of Hope TV Ghana, especially on Real Talk. And so I'm going to go straight ahead and introduce my guests to you. I have one in the studio and one joining me virtually. In the studio with me is Evangelist Gideon Kumi Boche. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
I'm very fine.
How's your week been?
Oh, it has been so good.
It's been good, eh?
Sure.
We thank God. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Joining me via Zoom is Pastor Uriah K. Osei Mensa. Pastor, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, and God bless you well.
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for coming. How has your week been?
That God bless all is well here in Asante Bekwai.
Osei Krom Papa, you know, we'll be coming there December 31st for the United in Praise.
Sure.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see you. We'll be ready to have our dances and our music and everything. So we'll see you on December 31st. And that is to remind you guys that United in Praise is happening still in Osecrom, December 31st. So we are preparing to go there. And Kumasi, I know you are ready for us, and we are ready for you all the way from Accra as well. So today's story we have titled, My Boss is a Ritualist. And sometimes you hear these things and you think it's a joke, but let me go right into the story and read what this young man has sent to us. It says, Dear Real Talk, as a young man struggling to take care of myself and eager to support my family, I was excited when I secured a job as a housekeeper and driver through an agency. If you are blessed to get a job these days, you must do all you can to keep it. One day, my employer asked me to go give clothes to his friend who had come for a short stay. He was very adamant that I give it to him within a specific time. But despite trying to make the time, I had so much work to do. I unfortunately completed my housework late and went to the back of the house where his friend was staying in the outer apartment to deliver the clothes. I thought my boss had left for work. I had no idea he was still in the house. Out of surprise, shock and fear, I couldn't help but shout Jesus, and in that moment they noticed my presence. They warned me to stay silent or face dire consequences. Since that unsettling incident, I have been forced into running errands for them, being pulled into their secretive activities against my will. I am now seeking help to overcome this challenging situation, regain control of my life, and leave this work and house. But I'm scared of what they will do to me. How do I get out of this nightmare? I'm sure you've come across a story like this. I'm sure you probably think it's a story that has been concocted from somewhere that is being presented as real. But then I am here to tell you that these are real stories from real people that are going through them, and they want solutions. And hopefully by the end of the discussion, we can come up with some solutions for him, and we can help him through this very challenging situation that he finds himself in. He made a very realistic comments when he said getting a job now is difficult, and I'm not going to sit here and act as if that is not true. If you're in Ghana now and you're looking for a job, it is very, very difficult to get a good job. And so when you land one and there are circumstances and you have to leave, it's really heartbreaking. So I'm going to go straight ahead and then I'll ask Gideon, what's going through your mind? Like, hearing the story, whatever it is that he's talking about. Is this something you've heard before, probably experienced before? Has a friend told you about this before? What's going through your mind?
All right. I wasn't actually surprised because I've heard of many.
Okay.
But I was sad because this actually is sums up the aspirations that young people of today are actually facing, doing all that they could to make life better.
Yes.
And so they have to go the extra mile so that they don't even lose opportunities out there. And even looking at this young man, he's still in the house because of fear. And so generally, this story is one of the many situations in which we find in ourselves today.
Yeah, it's true. I completely agree with you. Pastor, as you've heard from Evangelist Gideon, he wasn't surprised. He was sad, but he wasn't surprised. It's a story that has come on our table today. What's going through your mind, hearing stories like, and there were candles and there were probably red and black decor in the room, and there were some pots and calabash. These are the things we see in movies, and he's describing is as what he walked in on. What's going through your mind with regards to this story? Hello, Pastor, can you hear me? It looks like we just lost Pastor. I'll try and get in touch with him shortly. Coming back to you, Evangelist. You know, hardship. Trying to get a job is difficult.
Sure.
And even from the story, from the angle of this boss, you know how you see people and it looks like, hey, they have money, things are going on well for them. And you're finding out that this is what he is doing, probably to make his money, and he has employed you. Now, coming back to what this guy is going through, hardship is making a lot of the youth engage in all sorts of activities.
Sure.
It's whether to get money, whether to get that guy they want or woman they want, whether to be able to afford some sort of luxuries, you know, in our part of the world. How can one live in such a difficult economic climate right now without settling for these souls or even selling their souls to get some of these things?
All right. Actually, this is very tough. It's very tough considering this economic situations in which we find ourselves. But I think there are some principles that actually makes a difference. And that has to do with, first of all, having self-control. And self-control actually will make a difference in a case that it will keep you focused. You'll be focused on whatever you are doing.
Right.
And actually not paying attention to things around you, what friends are actually doing. It will keep you well connected. And it also has to do with having inner discipline.
Right.
Inner discipline, mental discipline to keep you through the very hardship in which we do find ourselves. Because it has not been easy, and this economic crisis is not going to stop.
Right.
It is increasing here and there.
Yeah.
And so having self-control and having inner discipline and to buttress upon it is also having a spirit of contentment. Having contentment, contending with whatever thing that you do and whatever situation in which you do find yourself.
Right.
Appreciating the little that you have and neglecting things that are one way or the other swaying you away.
Yeah.
You'll be able to sail through and having a deeper connection with God, having faith and knowing who Christ means to you,
right.
and saying to yourself that indeed, amidst all this crisis, Christ is there for me. And so I'll say to myself that ideally it is well.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
It is well indeed. Pastor, glad to have you back on. I'll take your general take on the story, and then I'll ask the question that I just asked Evangelist Gideon with regards to, you know, living in these very difficult times economically, and then having the discipline not to sell your soul to engage in some of these activities. His boss is already doing that. His boss, the rich man who hired him, is engaging in this. Now this young man is wondering, I want to come out of it, but Ghana is hard. They are threatening me. Should I just, you know, forget about it? After all, my boss is not dead. He's rich. Should I just go ahead and then just become like him? How can one survive in this climate without selling their souls?
Just as Evangelist rightly said, I think it takes a lot. It takes a lot beyond sheer will. It brings into play a lot of things we need to consider. He mentioned discipline, self-discipline, and all of that. I think I lost the feed a while back, but I think he probably mentioned the spiritual foundation as well. Because if you're not well grounded in the faith and other things, just like a leaf, the wind blows you away. And it is indeed a true story of what our brother is sharing. You know, these are realities that young people of today are grappling with on different levels of life. Even when you come to senior high schools, we see some of these things, you know, showing it. And so these are realities, and just as you rightly said, we want to look at it tonight from different angles. The social levels, we want to look at it from the spiritual aspects, and other ways that God will permit us to look at it so that we can rightly address this issue for a dear brother. It did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so Pastor, before I come back to Evangelist, so in your estimate, it is possible to live in Ghana right now without engaging in all sorts of, rituals and spiritual activities that are not godly. It is possible. I just want the youth to hear out there that it's not the end of the world for them.
Sure, it is very possible. It is very possible. Though, just like the Bible truly says, we are only men. We cannot see what is in the heart of men. But surely God sees it all. And I know that God has some people who, no matter whatever happens, will never sell their souls to some of these things. So I know that there are young people who are very willed, strong-willed, and want to lead good lives devoid of some of these things. So yes, it's possible, and our brother has hope.
Yeah, he has hope. I'm glad to hear that. I'll come back to you, Evangelist. When he was sharing the story, he made mention that immediately they saw him and he shouted Jesus, and they realized that he has seen what they're doing. They decided to rope him in. And so now they are sending him to probably go and get the candles or the feathers or whatever it is they need for their rituals. And he's going out there and he's buying them. And they're even letting him take part of their activities. I don't know what it is that they're doing. If it is to sleep in coffins, all these weird things you hear, drink blood, all the scary things. And now he is actively taking part in it, but he wants to get out of it. And they've threatened him. I'm sure they said, if you leave, we'll kill you, or because you've joined us, you can't leave, and all that. Do you think that their threats carry weight? Someone will say, walk out. This they can't do. They can't do foco. You can just walk out and you'll be fine. But as Christians and believing in the spiritual world, and we believe that this world is not just as we are seeing it physical like that. Does he have a cause to be frightened? Can they do something to him?
All right. So looking at the story, it's a thread that really carries weight. Yes, it really carries weight. You see, sometimes we as even Christians, we outlook certain things. Yeah. Even what the Bible said, the Bible warns us from these principalities and these powers of the evil one. And so, but we believe that these powers do not have power over us, but they can pose a challenge. Okay. Especially when your Christianity actually is not in check, or you are not in the right connection with God. Some of these things poses a challenge, and so looking at even our world today, many of us are just serving Christ with our lives. And so genuinely, when it comes to some of these powers, we are not able to stand because we are not genuine as to the Christianity that we portray or profess to be. And so it can't just be taken lightly, but we have the assurance that Christ has all power and authority has been given unto him. And so trusting and connecting so dearly unto him, honestly, we are more than conquerors. But looking at our brother, our young man, actually, if you are even to consider his spirituality, it's not of its best. Okay. It's not of this best because he's even scared, afraid, even in the first place. So it becomes a great threat unto him. And that is what most of us out there are also facing. And so upon getting well connected to God, he's ever good to go.
I get what you mean. And so in this situation where he's actively participating and he is engaging in these activities, do you think, is that why if they would do anything to him, it would affect him? You know how some people will say, if I haven't done anything to you and you curse me, it won't work. Is Is it because he has an active role that he's playing in this that the threat will hold or something?
All right, see, in this situation, two, let me say, kingdoms come into play.
Right.
That of God and Satan. And so one who is of God wouldn't entertain it.
Okay.
But in this situation, he's entertaining because of fear and all sort of things. And so once you are entertaining it, then it means that you are actually contrary to the words of God, and you have nowhere in the place of God, because you are doing it even though you are not in tune, you are not actually happy doing it. Yes, so it may have an effect on you. Only if you'll be able to say no and then stop it all and have your way. But if he continues to run the errands and do all those things, even though he's not happy doing it, but
he's still doing it.
Yeah, he's still doing it, and it might have an impact
on him.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. Pastor, I'm going to come to you and I'll ask you the same question. You know, his employer and friend, they've threatened him. They've told him that they'll kill him and he can't leave, and now he has become their errand boy, and even they've introduced him to the activities and he is engaging in it, whether willfully or not. He is doing what they're asking him to do. And so now the threat of something will happen to you if you leave us, something will happen to you if you walk away, does it carry weight? And if it does, is it because of his involvement, or is it just because of the spirituality that voodooism and rituals carry?
All right, just like you rightly mentioned, I want to make a quick clarification here. Though his story came as my boss is a ritualist, but I'm more looking at this from the occultic side or perspective. Because, you know, when we talk about ritual is even a handshake. How you shake hands, how you do things at home can be termed as a ritual. We have several aspects of it. But what we're looking at is, you know, when you look at the word occultic, it has this aspect of something that is hidden, something that is secret, something that is clandestine. And with our brother's situation, he is bringing this issue to us that borders on what we call the metaphysical tenet. And that is what we're looking at, that thing that cannot be reached through objective studies of material reality. You cannot see it. You cannot touch it. Yes. These are things we're dealing with. And then when you look into the spiritual powers, or when you go into studies of the spiritual realm, you know, there are several dimensions. We have illusions where people are able to conjure things through they can bend things to will at mind, a whole lot of things, limitations where people can float or fly. And then what we call mediumship or channeling. And that is the ability to communicate with spirits. This is where our brother's issue from my analysis lies. That's where his issue lies. And then these are very serious things that the ordinary human being can come to terms with. It's a very serious thing. That is, if you've really seen evil spirits at work, this is not a joke. So, in essence, I'm trying to say that he should not take the threats as empty threats. And I want to add this to it, that for someone who has, and I'm speaking of his master, his boss, for someone who has gone to that level, to me, indicates that that person can and will do anything. Can and will do anything. That is, their threats are not empty. So our brother needs to really assess the situation based upon some of these little things we're trying to throw to him. And I want to believe that he can come out of it. Because personally, I see that where he is and he trying to go out of, for me, I weigh both things as the same. Because from a Christian perspective, from the scriptural perspectives, if he stays elect, the end thereof, just like the Bible says in Proverbs, there's a way that cement right unto him, but the end thereof is death. And then when he goes out and supposing to say that the threat comes out, that they eventually they have lost something else. One, in his boss's house, let's say that he dies. What kind of death is it? When he goes out and he has his freedom in Christ, and even supposing he dies, what kind of death is it? I don't know if you get my drift.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's very important that he weighs both, and then he comes to a decision. And I only pray that the decision will be that he goes out of it. But I trust and I believe that if he makes the right decision, Jesus Christ will help him.
Yeah.
That is what I believe.
I believe so too, Pastor. But Pastor, somebody would say, would he have been at a lesser risk if he had not actively participated, even if it was out of coercion? His involvement, does that put him at a higher risk of making the threats come true, or it doesn't matter whether he was involved or not?
Well, I believe so. I believe that his involvement has made him more amenable to the situation. Because even as Isaiah chapter 59, verse 1 to 3 tells us, the Lord's hand is not shortened that he cannot see, neither are his ears saying that he cannot hear us. But it is our sins that have separated us from him. So the moment you go towards that side, because Evangelist mentioned that there are two powers at play here. There are two kingdoms that are clashing. Yes. So the moment you stretch to the other side, you don't have the protection of the other side.
Oh.
That is one thing. Yes, that is true, because you see, if you read the Bible carefully, through experience and through the unction of the Holy Spirit, you get to understand that the Spirit of God, the holy angels of God, they are called that which is evil, that which is filth. So how can you expect me to make an assertion that in such a home, in such a place, the holy angels of God are present? It is not. So that makes him, should I say that makes him prone to whatever if they decide to do to him to come to pass. So he needs to make a conscious effort, get out of it, and just as my brother rightly said, rededicate his life to God, and then trust that by his grace and his mercies, he will protect him.
Yeah, that's what we are hoping for. That's absolutely true. And I'm just glad to know that there's hope for him, that regardless of how deep that he thinks he has gone into it, God's hands are far and wide enough to bring him out of it. We'd have to go for a quick break. When we come back, now we will look at how he can get out of this situation, practical steps, whatever deliverance or whatever he may need, how he will get out without the boss and his friend hurting him. We'll just look at how exactly he can get out of the situation. We'll be right back after the break. Do not go anywhere. This is Real Talk.
Life can be challenging, and sometimes it's hard to find hope, even in the midst of difficulties. But even in our darkest moments, there is always a glimmer of light.
The Adventist Church, mission-driven purpose, and Hope Channel brings to you Living with Hope,
A 9-day transformational Bible lecture series. Keynote speaker, Pastor Kojo Chumesi. Health and wellness, Dr. Kennedy Donko. Marriage and family life, Pastor Samson Chumesi. And empowerment development, Dr. Kofi Chumesi.
Living with Hope. 9 days of transformation and empowerment, starting on the 1st to 9th December 2023, 6:30 p.m. each night, live in all Seventh-day Adventist churches and also on Hope Channel and its social media handles. Share the word, tell a colleague, invite a friend. Living with Hope.
Aye mreni o nkrafo motwen ache. Eye ni je kwa Celestial City Choir. CCC wose brani ni otwere aboye. Kantamanto nyakropo a okantama onto no. Ye baba bobo ano pe. Michire Medina Central AZH. Nyame adomo a openima bosomene de toso kono. Afimpinu ni adunu yesia 2023 CCC or the Celestial Exaltation 2023 na ode brewo. We CCC nchanya ye kwasa teaching ni nitira wo badwumadi na se. Symphony House Ghana, One Voice Choir Ghana, Heavenly Jewels Choral, and a Castle Youth Choir. When you badwumadi ase, me pa chobrawati dano eye ni je nkoa. Media partner Hope Channel wo kan wo bi na dwumadi ye de brewo. Wo busasa obaji say hwe jawati eye free. Me kire ye de chewo kwa. Wo don tire me medical da. No me sa pepe brawati wa ma wa shrade papa.
That quick break, we are still in the series of Hope TV Ghana coming your way with Real Talk. So if you just joined us, we're talking about this young man that has sent his story to us. He says he was lucky, and I put lucky in quotes because it's looking to be, you know, something that is not a blessing to him. But he got a job with an agency. He got a job and he works with his boss. He helps around. He's the driver, and I think he helps around with the house as well. And his boss got a friend that came in to live with him for a while in another apartment on the same compound. And he was told to go and deliver clothes to the friend. So he gets there and he realizes that his boss and his friend are involved in occult practice, voodoo, whatever you may call it. And he sees it, he gets very startled, and he screams Jesus. They notice his presence, and then from there he is threatened not to say anything, he can't leave, he can't run, he just can't leave the job. And aside that, he has been running errands for them, and he's been introduced into this, and even though it's against his will and he wants to stop, he is participating in the activities that he's not happy about. So now he wants to know if he can get out of this situation. If so, how can he do that? I've been having this conversation with Evangelist Gideon and Pastor Uriah, and now we are going to look at exactly how he can get out of the situation. Evangelist, if you would just help us out. In your opinion, how can this young man get out of this situation? And can he even get out without any consequences? Or he would have to pay for something? I don't know. Is there a way he can get out? If he can, what are some of the things he can do? Is it deliverance? Is it, you know, how can he get out of this situation?
All right. He can actually get out of this situation. And from the Christian perspective, he needs to seek the face of God. Okay. He needs to be serious with God and make more time with Him in prayers. And socially, this issue needs to be reported. Okay. Yes, he needs to report it. And here is the case in Ghana particularly. We were trained not to speak out. And in this situation, my brother needs to speak out and, you know, also get some people involved, elders who can actually come in, speak out and make a difference for him on this situation. And so in this particular instance, the church or the religious bodies can be made known to them, it being the pastor or the elders, to help him in prayer. And so with the spiritual aspect, the prayers and more deeper connection with God and also the elders and the pastors, or the faith in which he finds himself, helping him. The spiritual aspect can actually be conquered without any consequences.
Okay.
And socially, to once is reported, so carnally he will be well without any issue, and spiritually too he will be well. And looking at this scene, his mental health is also important.
Yeah.
Yes, and so here's a case the psychologists or some professionals may also have to come in, and friends and their families also have to play a very greater role in this situation. And so at the end of it all, with Christ in the center taking the lead, he will come out without any consequences. I believe so.
Okay, that's good to know. And Pastor, I'm going to come to you. How would he get out of this situation? You know, now he is almost stuck, if I should say, because he has been threatened, because his livelihood is, he thinks his livelihood is linked to the job. That's why he would mention how hard it is to get a job in Ghana. So he has all these things going through his mind, and he's at a crossroad. Okay, if I leave, they may hurt me, I may die, and I will not have a job, I won't have money. If I stay, maybe I would be able to live and then, you know, manage myself. But now he wants to leave. He's thinking it's such a nightmare. He wants to walk out, but he doesn't know how. How can he walk out of this situation without any consequences, without the threats working, and also finding himself back into Christ?
Okay. First of all, let me premise my submission with 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 13. It says that even if we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself. And I want to surmise this as that I trust God will not deny himself an opportunity to save a lost soul. That humbly and in contrition calls upon him for a second chance. That is what I believe. Coming back to it, I think my brother raised a very valid point that here in Ghana we do not speak out about some of these things. Yes, yeah. But then we should also not forget that constitutionally, the law, there's nothing that prescribes anything. There are no prescriptives in the law that that really addresses spiritual issues, because like I initially said, metaphysical issues you cannot see, you cannot touch. So there are no laws to so police cannot arrest him. So I believe what my brother bringing out that he should report it is not for the sake of those who are watching or listening.
Yeah.
We are not talking about the police or the witch or whatever. Reporting in the sense that, at least, like he rightly said, informing his pastor, his others, even his family, so that they know, even in a way, when they get to know, in some way, somehow, when his bosses also know that, well, at least he's informed his family, that might also even put off, that is on the physical side, put them off from carrying out any threat that would be of a consequence to our brother. And then also, coming back here, there's one thing I wanted to chip into that would also help our brother. If you read the Adventist Home, chapter 83, paragraphs 2 and 3, page 523, and the one says that he, referring to Satan, presents the path of holiness as difficult, while the paths of worldly pleasures are strewn with flowers. You see, so our brother might think that, okay, let me take a decision, just as you rightly said, let me take a decision and remain elders.
I think Pastor's network is frozen. Pastor, can you hear me? Yes.
It's about that he said that at the end first canton, yet in buy. So how can money be used to protect something that money cannot buy? You see, these are realities that our brother needs to wake up to, and then see that where I am now, where I find myself now, I am on the crossroads.
Yeah.
This is life, this is death. If I sit here, yes, this is what is going to happen. He needs to wake up to these realities and then make a concrete decision. Stop. Though, like my brother rightly said, he may not be able to do it all by himself. That is why I believe my God is the very family that are dear to him, that he says he wants to cater for, are there. He should also lean on them. They are all supportive systems for him. His church is still there. There are lots of loved ones there. This thing comes to mind. I need the prayers of those I love. This is the time that when he comes out to his family friends, this is not the time that those who are also around him are to, bring out the blame game, because that is what we usually tend to do. But this is not the time for that. The time now is to join him in heart and mind and pray with him, supporting him. And you also brought us something that I quickly want to add up as I wrap my submission up. You said something about consequence, that if he was going to suffer a consequence or not. Honestly, that is not in our hands to say or to know. But I believe it is in the hands of God. There are certain times that there are certain things we do that even when God brings us out of it, we might suffer a consequence or two. There are times too it may not come. But I am only positive here that our brother should not be looking at the consequence now. He should be looking at the fact that where he is a death trap. It will not end him well. He should get out, go through all the suggestions we've given him this night. And we should all pray and hope within that God, in his infinite mercy, would help him to avoid that consequence.
Yeah. Pastor, before I leave you and come to Evangelist Gideon, I would ask again, looking through the story and seeing some of the comments that have come up, there's the question of how does he do this? Should he physically remove himself from the home and seek the help? Or he can be in the space and be praying and hoping that the ties, whatever is binding them, are broken, then he'll be free. Or he needs to pack his things and physically get out of the house for redemption to start. I
believe, just as you rightly said, he needs to go out of the house. Because, like it is said in our local parlance, so you cannot be in that house and then tell us that spiritually, mentally, you are no more part of them. But no. And how do you know that? And I think in my earlier session I made this point. I don't believe that the angels of God, let me qualify, the holy angels of God, I do not believe that the Spirit of God, the Spirit of Christ, are in that house. So he choosing to stay there and with the mindset that, but I really and you make on with you, it does not work. He needs to move out.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. He needs to move out. What do you have to say with regards to he staying or leaving the house?
Just as Pastor rightly said, he needs to find a very nice way to live. Yes, because...
or he can run away in the middle of the night.
So he has to find ways and means, because actually you have chance on his secret. And secret, we say, is power. And so he may not allow you to, trample over his power that has been made, his secret that has been made known to you.
Yeah.
And your life actually is also at stake.
True.
Because we hear of this ritual, this occultic, killing and all those things are greatly involved. And so he needs to leave. That is a must. If only he wants to be secured.
He needs to leave.
Sure.
Our brother, I hope you're listening. You need to leave that space to get your redemption. And before we come to our final words, I want us to speak on the people that are engaging in occultic practices. These things, those times you see it in movies and you would say, oh, it's probably not real. Now we don't even talk about it because we are using technology and advancements to cover some of the things. And people even have different terms for it. They have things like, oh, I'm cleansing my home and I'm burning this to ward away evil spirits. We have all these fancy things that we use to describe it. Speaking to this practice that is happening now, and with this guy's case, what would you have to say to anyone that is engaging in such a practice?
All right. Okay. So what I would say is anyone who is in today's rituals or this occultic thing is rightly of Satan, and you have the power to do all these things, but it has an end. All these things will certainly come to an end. And what I've come to know is that the outcome of them actually is not something that we can proudly mention. And so there is a temporal thing that you have you find yourself into because of hardship and because of trying to make ends meet and making life better. You see, these days we don't even actually mention. Gone are the days that it wasn't easy to even hear of sad things. But these days they are all common. And just as you said, it's online. And you see, we are even talking of rituals, but even ways of making fast money, like this bet and all those things. These, if you should speak about it, people are going to chance on you, because we need to survive. Life needs to go on and all, or so on and so forth. And so it has an end, and the end wouldn't be good. And so I'm admonishing that even though the system is very difficult, in fact, we are in dire moments and hardships upon hardships. But in order not for us to end up losing all these things in shame and in find ourselves in situation that we may regret, it's better we live out of it all and have a better space, which is Christ, for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Pastor, people are doing all sorts of things now. People are engaging in these practices and giving it a nice name, you know. People are saying, oh, you know, I am just trying to connect with my ancestors. We hear things like that. People will say, well, I am a spiritual being, and so I have to make sure my spiritual self is strong. And they use all these things to engage in activities that are not godly. So I just want you to speak to that fact, why it is even dangerous for you to engage in, and how we have to tread carefully from engaging in activities that are not godly and ones that, like you clearly said, are considered traditional.
You know, I don't think every sense of the word devil is a deceiver. So all the things that he presents to us, especially the young people, and the Bible will tell you that they are clearly moving nets which appear innocent. So anyone that is not wary of it, you know, you get entangled, and that is all. And that's, and it is a death trap. You see, the seeming benefits of some of these practices, just as my brother said, we seem to need quick money, success, and all these kind of things. Is driving a lot of people, especially the young ones of our day, to some of these things, yes. And then I wish to bring back to memory the story of King Saul. You remember that in 1 Samuel chapter 28, we told that when the Philistines came to war against the Israelites, after that time, because of the constant disobedience of King Saul, God was not speaking to him any longer. God's protection was off for him. And that is what I said, that if you do not keep connected to God through the Spirit, his protection is no longer upon you. Yeah. So he needed to know the results of the war, the consequence of it. So like we know, he went to the witch of, Endor? Yeah, just to consult them to know of his future. We all know the consequence. So daring to go towards that aspect of life doesn't bring anything good at the end of it. Let me just chip in this. I used to have a student, a young boy of 17 years, who had gone into, that kind of same thing. It's also bordering on some of these things. And then, in fact, the consequences this young boy had to go through was dire. So I'm admonishing all young people out there that going through some of these mediums for success is not the best way. At the moment, you might think all is well, but just know that at the end of it all, it is not going to end well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to end well. Gideon, your final advice for this young man who sent in his story.
All right. Okay, so I'll recommend the Bible, particularly the book of Colossians, because it actually addresses this issue.
Okay. Where
Paul was addressing the Colossae or the Colossians of this Greek philosophies and this kind of rituals and all those things. Because the people over there were just mending or mixing God with these philosophies. And so Paul needs to speak and hammer on it. And here's the case, we find ourselves in such situations. Yeah, it's little God and little of materialism or the other practices. And if it happens that way, you are totally not of God. Because there's nothing like being a partial Christian. It's either you are a Christian or you are a non-Christian. And so what I would say is that, in fact, if we should follow desperations or what we are going through, we may end up actually in a state that we never dreamt or thought of even finding ourselves. And so, just as Proverbs 16:3 says that we should commit our ways into the Lord and our plans, our thought will be established. God into our lives will change everything because He's even in that crisis with us. Satan has an end to all these things. And so once we have Christ, even the Satan wouldn't even have that power, even to talk of his subject. And so we should stay glued to God because there are so many easy ways of making it now. There are even to talk of this online investment. You could see the money that I'm investing and the profit is unreasonable. It's so huge that no bank can even give you such money when you are even investing. And so these are all the cunning ways of Satan luring us one way or the other. And just as Pastor said, it's mostly among us with the youth. And so there's covetousness and trying to make it in life so fast and so quick will land us into things that we never dreamt of. And there's ceremonials to talk of these fake lives and all those things. They are all ongoing. And so we should be careful and stay glued to God. And even though it wouldn't be easy, but God will be our help and our provider in all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pastor, I'm going to come to you and ask for your final advice for this guy. And I am glad that Evangelist brought up some of the things that are not considered a form of occult practice. For example, astrology. You know when they say, oh, what's your star? And then somebody will say, oh, I'm a Leo, I'm a this. Then they would just say, oh, Leo and Cancer together and Cancer and Sagittarius. It's all over the place, and now that is the in thing. The generation, the millennials and the Gen Zs, that is our thing now. If you know it, you are woke, and we carry it and we make noise about it. Your final words for this young man and anybody out there.
All right, okay. I'm going to sum my final words in what the book of Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 to 6 gives us. That trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your path. So, young people, let us trust in God. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor. I'm going to say a big thank you to Pastor for making it to be here today, and as well to Evangelist Gideon. I think we have spoken at length and helped this young man how the best way we can. And if you're listening, please, first of all, get out of the house, start praying, find your elders, your pastors to help you out, lean on your family for the support that you need. Make sure another job will come. Do not spend time thinking how you're going to survive. I'm sure you were surviving before this job came along. Another job will come. Your soul is very important to us. And so we want you to take the steps to make sure that you have gotten out of the situation. You've done all the necessary steps, fasting, prayers, to cast out whatever spirits that you've carried around, so that at the end of the day, you will find your way back to Christ. And I'm hoping that your employer and his friend will have a change of heart and desist from the occult practices that they are engaging in. And before we go, I would like to remind you about Midimafo United in Praise happening on the 31st of December at Kumasi Cultural Center. I don't know about you, but I am excited waiting to see this spectacular end of year musical show in Kumasi. So prepare. I am preparing. We'll come and join Pastor Euro there because he's already in Kumasi. Gideon and I and myself will join Pastor there, and we'll have a nice musical concert on the 31st of December. To all of you out there, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back same time next week with another interesting conversation. And this time around, I'd like to encourage that you can also send your story to us as well. Whatever you're going through, relationship, career, finance, anything at all that you're worried about, trending topics on social media that you want us to address, send it to us and we'll find you the right people to have the right conversation. We have some few minutes, so I'll ask if you have any shout outs to anybody out there that you want to say.
All right, so to my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Kumi, and that of my siblings, to Collins, Adelaide and Bridget, and to my auntie, Madame Vivienne Bedu, lost the son.
Oh no!
Lost the son, who is also my cousin. So,
sorry.
my condolences to her and the entire family, of which I also happens to be part. And then to Mrs. Nancy Osei, and then the church Awushi SD Church, and to Valley View University, especially the Department of Theology, and all my friends.
Yeah, so sorry for your loss, Gideon. So sorry. Yeah. Pastor, anyone you want to say hi to?
Well, thank you very much. I would like to say hello to my family. And also, I would like to say hello to all pastors on the FEMSA page. All pastors who have graduated from Valley View University, we have the page. Yesterday, in fact, I shared this topic with them, and then I took their advice here and there. And I also shared it with my immediate boss, my executive secretary in my conference, Pastor Collins and Julian. I want to thank them for their valid insights that they shared with me to also share with our dear brother and, of course, all other viewers. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Pastor. God bless you as well. So we say a big thank you to Pastor Uriah K. Osei Mensah and Evangelist Gideon Kumi Boche for joining us today. And to you out there, thank you for always welcoming us into your homes every Wednesday. We are very humbled for the opportunity, and our prayer is that we continue to bring you stories that are inspiring, and also continue to bring you panelists that are inspiring as well and know exactly what they are talking about. And at the end of every episode, whatever story that is brought here, we find some solutions to them through Christ who helps us. We'll be back same time next week. My name still remains Evie, but then until then, enjoy the rest of the content on Hope TV Ghana. Have yourselves a lovely evening.